This is SBR's Football Betting Daily.
It is Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, which means it is time for the Audible. Week 1 is here. The opening game of the NFL season was here, and I love watching every second of it. I am here with the legend, Mr. Donnie Rightside. In about 30 minutes, we have another legend, Whale Capper, coming to join us. I am so pumped up. I hit my first bet of the year, 1-0. I should stop while I'm ahead. Hit the under last night, and shout out, Donnie, to your Philadelphia Eagles. Bend but don't break. What do you think of the game last night?
Yeah, it was an interesting game. And how about a nice little start there, right? First Thursday of the season. You asked me for my opinion. I thought the Eagles could get it done. They did. You were sitting there on the under very easily. What was it, 6-3 at the half? Not even a sweat at that point. But looking at the game overall, Jimmy, I know we entered with a lot of questions. Remember last week we were talking like, are guys going to be in shape? Looks like a lot of guys got dinged up last night. Keanu actually blew his knee out. But a lot of cramps for Atlanta. How was the helmet rule, Jimmy, going to play into effect? Not a single helmet call. I love it. Thank you. Do not ruin my sport out there. But I think everything went according to plan. Philadelphia Eagles with a huge win. Sloppy, though, Jimmy, right? Real sloppy game for Thursday night.
Sloppy start. But I tell you what, I also took the Eagles to win the division. I didn't get a great line. I got minus 130. But, man, I feel so good about that spot. You have great coaching, great defense. Your offense will get better as it gets healthier. I think you guys are going to be a dominant team once again. What is your future outlook for your Eagles?
Yeah, you know what, Jimmy? I was actually, watching the game with some family and friends last night. Had a good time watching. It came right down to the end, but I actually didn't care about the outcome of the game midway through it. There was a couple factors, Jimmy, I wanted to take a look at. How the offensive line would hold up, looked just as good. Jason Peters coming back from injury, he looked fantastic. Sproles looked really good, but the defense looked well. I think this whole team, Nick Foles is just a caretaker out there. Are we going to get a repeat of the Super Bowl or the Minnesota game? Probably not over the next few weeks. Just do enough to keep them in the game, keep the Eagles above water until Carson Wentz and Alshon Jeffrey can come back and rescue that offense. But overall, it's a huge win because when we look at the playoffs, Jimmy, I know we're looking at the Atlanta Falcons and the Philadelphia Eagles as both playoff teams. Now the Philadelphia Eagles have that game and a half, so to speak, lead over the Atlanta Falcons because they do hold the tiebreaker. Big win for the boys at home last night.
Big win for the boys at home. I was watching Sportsbook with Paulie and Teddy, and Paulie was going over all of Matt Ryan's seasons. And 2016, Shanahan, calling the plays seems like the year that's the fluke. Every other year, Ryan has pretty much the same numbers. And what we saw is another classic Matt Ryan on grass, outdoor stadium, not able to get the job done. What's your outlook on the Falcons moving forward?
Look, I think the Falcons are going to be okay. It was a tough spot to go in. I mean, that's a tough environment to win. The Eagles defense plays very well at home. And again, you came to the same conclusion, Jimmy. What would the seasons be like last year if last year Julio Jones does come down with the catch last year and comes down with the catch on fourth down last night? It completely can change around the season. The Eagles don't make a run to the Super Bowl. Maybe Atlanta does make a run. This team is built for a dome. They're going to be fine at home. They're going to put up points as long as, again, injury bug does stay away. Julio Jones last year, Jimmy, 1,400 yards, 3 touchdown passes? That's probably going to change this year. But one of the most interesting numbers, you're right, the Sarkisian-led offense. Matt Ryan only had 20 touchdown passes last year for 2017. That has to change. It looked like from the very first drive, they were on a mission to do it. They bogged down in the red zone, which they continuously have a problem with. I still think the Falcons are okay. It was a tough spot for them last night. We'll see how they rebound at home next week.
We will. And Sarkisian, there are going to just be more and more question marks around his play calling and more and more second guessing by Matt Ryan, I'm expecting. But yes, this is a very skilled football team, and we expected them to show more offensively. I thought it was a mistake going for it on fourth and goal there on that first drive. Why give the opportunity for the Eagles to get momentum? Just kick the 3 points. That's how I would have handled it. I guess I'm a little more conservative. I fear momentum. I fear giving the other team momentum when you drive down the field so easily. I think that was a mistake. But in saying this, we're going to have the Whale Capper coming in 22 minutes, so I want to kind of briskly run through the games quickly. Whale Capper is going to come in with his top 2 or 3 plays, which I'm so excited about. And it is my job to keep us going on a nice brisk pace. So I'm going to get us rolling. First off, Steelers-Browns. I am on the under 45. Oh, also big news. First off, big news. Bosa is walking around with a cast. will not be playing week 1. My Chargers bet is in jeopardy. I don't think I'm going to hedge it. Why don't I just ask you that now? I know that Ingram is a monster, but Bosa out of the lineup, do you think this line's going to drastically change?
No, not at all. I don't think there's going to be a problem with that. And actually, it went from like 3 to 3.5 at this point as I'm looking across the board. I don't think look, you want Joey Bosa in, but that defense is going to be fine. You're banking on this game as a rookie quarterback, Jimmy Mahomes. He's not a second-year guy, but start-wise, he's still pretty much a rookie. They're going on the road to win a game against the Los Angeles Chargers. Excuse me. I don't know why I just had a brain cramp there. But no, I don't think you're going to have any problem with that. Don't worry about that Chargers play, Jimmy. You'll be fine. Just roll with it.
That is exactly what I wanted to hear because I was very nervous. Travis Taylor says the analytics guys loved going for it there. Hey,
yes.
Don't get me wrong. I guess I'm a little old-fashioned. I fear in that situation, the Eagles getting Big Mo at home. That's my biggest fear. I would have taken the 3 comfortably. Let's go. Steelers-Browns, very, very exciting situation. The Browns have hope. Cleveland has hope, which is a treat. We know that Bell's not going to be lined up. He might not be lined for 8 weeks. I'm on the under 45. I bet it at under 44.5, sadly. But I got under 45 on the Low Shack in the Bag show. What do you think about my underplay, and is there an angle that you like in this game?
You know what, Jimmy? There's a reason why Pinnacle opened up at 47, Chris opened up at 46.5, and now we're seeing 42.5. And look at that, 5 times, Jimmy, posting a 41.5. Why is that? Look right there, Julio Jones in the chat box after playing a hard-fought game last night, Jimmy. He's actually coming in with some handicapping information. Thank you, Julio. Cleveland, 100% chance of rain, 20 to 30 mile winds, and I'm checking my database as well. Heavy rain and wind in the forecast, Jimmy. That's printing money for an under. Now, look, you can have fumbles, you can have turnovers and interceptions. If you give me rain and wind, harder to kick field goals, harder to throw passes. Most teams feel each other out yesterday. I love where you're going with the under now. Now, if you're looking from a spread perspective here, maybe that doesn't change it so much. We saw 3.5s out there, Jimmy, with Cleveland, now up to 4.5. But I have to say, when you see heavy rain and wind, and it's a road game, you don't have your road grader out there, Le'Veon Bell. Now, look, James Conner's probably going to be a really good running back, but look, rain and wind always lends towards the dog. So, hey, maybe another option opening up here for Cleveland.
Yeah, it is working in my favor, and as often we find unders just keep hitting. We already have Whale Capper in the chat. I think he's going to be a great addition to this show. I can't wait to have him here. Okay, San Francisco 49ers at Minnesota Vikings. We brought this game to every level. We've hammered it so much. I'm a huge 49ers fan, and we've hammered it in every level. I think the 49ers are going to be much better than people say they're going to be. Elliot Harrison put out his power rankings, said straight up that the 49ers defense was bad. I do not agree. I think Sherman is a big upgrade from Dante Johnson. Buckner, Armstead in the same system for 2 years. My big concern obviously is that Reuben Foster won't be there for the first 2 weeks. This is a very scary place to play in Minnesota. This could be a dominant Vikings football team. They seem so stacked. I don't have a play on this game, but after the McKinnon injury, the season win total for the 49ers went to plus 120 over 8.5. I think we can get to 9 wins. I took it at plus 120. I also took the Minnesota Vikings over 10.5 wins, also at plus 120. Those are my season-long win-loss totals. I don't have a play on this game. I'm just going to watch it as a fan. Do you have any angles on this one?
It's a measuring stick game for the 49ers. Like, this is going to give me a really key piece of information on how the 49ers are going to be able to approach the rest of the year. Because if they can go in and somehow knock off the Minnesota Vikings, that's going to be unbelievable, number one, for the team total, which you're probably banking on that being a loss. But also, just for the way the football team is going to be able to operate throughout the season, the Minnesota Vikings have a really good defense. They're hard to beat in Minnesota. Now, I guess you're going to lean on and say, well, the 49ers defense isn't so good, so maybe Kirk Cousins is off in his first game and he's nervous in Minnesota. I don't think that's going to be the case. And again, you're not looking for a blowout situation. You can very easily see this game, Jimmy, end up 27-20 with a cover by the Minnesota Vikings. I like the 49ers. I would have liked the 49ers starting in a different spot than going into Minnesota for this football game. It's going to be loud. It's going to be tough to win. This is going to show you how much Jimmy G has improved from last year through this year. And will he be a competent starting quarterback, which I think he will. But I think the spot is a little bit tight here for the 49ers. I think Minnesota is going to get the cover here.
A lot of people do, and I understand the thought process, definitely. Teddy B says, love, love, love the Vikings. My man Stucci says Vikings all day. Julio Jones says Vikings will bring Jimmy G back down to earth real quick. I think that's all possible. Let's keep rolling through because I'm so excited to have Whale Kepper up here, and I want to try to get through as many games as we can. Cincinnati Bengals, Indianapolis Colts. I'm going back to the under, Donnie. Under 49 here. I think these offensive lines are terrible. I know that the Bengals has improved their offensive line slightly. We're going to see what Luck can do. I don't think the offense are going to have enough time to make shrewd decisions, even though the defense on both teams are bad. Now, I've had a lot of people say that the Bengals defense isn't that bad. I get it, but I'm taking the under. I also took the Cincinnati Bengals under 6.5 wins at plus 165. Plus 165, Donnie. That excites me very much. I'm gonna be booing these Bengals every chance I get. What do you think about my under call? What do you think my season win total under call for the Bengals?
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at it. I mean, it's 48 points. Did Drew Brees show up and going to play quarterback in this football game here? Again, I'm going to stick with the same stance, Jimmy, last time we reconvened on Tuesday night and talked NFL football. Andrew Luck better not be throwing 40 passes in this game. And to get into the 50s in the NFL, that's a pretty high number. You're going to think aerial attack. Marlon Mack's banged up. Where are all the weapons? I get you have T.Y. Hilton on the Colts here ready to go. But is Andrew Luck going to be able to stretch the field? And you're going to put him in that spot? Because, look, Jimmy, you can't just throw the football downfield on a 3-step drop and get the ball out quick. You're asking him to take a 7-step drop, hang in the pocket, and let his long routes get deep. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I look for a lot more short passing, which the good part about that, Jimmy, if you're on under, it keeps the chains moving. It's 3, 4, 5, 6-yard chunks. It's 7, 8, 9 plays and 9 minutes off the clock. I agree with you on your underplay, man. No question.
Oh, this is giving me more and more confidence. It took me a while to pull the trigger, I guess just because of the big spread here, Bills-Ravens. I finally just pulled the trigger. Both the big spreads with the Ravens and the Saints took me a long time to pull the trigger. I did it here. I got Ravens minus 7.5 plus 102. I believe in Harbaugh. I think he's a great coach. Looking forward to see Brown with Flacco. I just think that Peterman, I know he had a great training camp. I don't believe in this Bills team. I think this Bills team is going to be bad. I am on Ravens minus 7.5 at plus 102. What do you think, Donnie?
Look, it's hard. It's hard to get caught up week one in this one because are the Ravens the better team? Yes. Are they better just about across the board? Yes, they are. Shady McCoy's going to have a hell of an effort, but you don't really just run wild, Jimmy, against the Ravens on the ground. Everything plays into a Ravens cover here, but I just can't get off the mark that the Ravens aren't big at covering point spreads. I love the Ravens when they're in a 2.5 or maybe a 3 at home because they win football games at home. They have great special teams, but now you're asking them to cover more than a touchdown. 24-17 doesn't get it done. On the outskirts, me just being a fan, not seeing them play yet, the Ravens should win this game by 2 touchdowns going away, but I can't help but think the past Raven regimes, the past Raven teams, they don't do well in the situation. Everybody, again, thinks they can win the Super Bowl, make a playoff run week one. 7.5 is a little bit too steep for me, but I can see your point of view. And again, if I take a public approach also, the Ravens are way better. Sometimes you just want to lean on that and say, spread be damned. I think if the Ravens win, they're going to cover this one. 7.5 is a tough number. If you're getting 7 out there, that's better. I know some 6.5s did flash up before they put Peterman in at quarterback. I don't necessarily have a great feel for this one, but I can see the way you're leaning. But over 7.5 in the NFL, tough to do, especially week one for me, Jimmy.
I hear you. I'm concerned. We talked so much about this Jacksonville Giants situation. Giants finally healthy. Jacksonville with this nasty D. We spoke about it at IFBC. I did pull the trigger on Jacksonville -3 going against my partner, Mr. Peter Loshak, which is not a place I'd like to be. I don't like to be going against him. I got Jacksonville -3 at plus 105. What do you think, Donnie?
Look, again, this is great. We talk twice a week. We get the load up on Tuesday, get a look at it, and then fine-tune on Fridays. Some big news out there. Look, the Giants we know in the offseason, they lost JPP down to Tampa Bay. Not the greatest pass rusher, but a disruptive force over on the other side, Olivier Vernon. You don't give a guy, $80 to $90 million if you don't think he can play a damn good pass rusher, Jimmy. But here's the problem. Nicked up on that ankle now. If Olivier Vernon sits out, what's the one thing that you want to get after if you're going to play Jacksonville? They have a really good offensive line, but if you could push put pressure on Blake Bortles. He's prone to mistakes. They're not a high wire attack on offense. You can't just throw it out there and let an Odell Beckham or Julio Jones go get the football. That's not the way they operate. They like to win it on the ground. But if you can't force the issue with Bortles, he might be able to sit there and make some plays. That's going to be a key effort. And again, we're looking at the front four for the Jacksonville Jaguars. What's the best way to cover up a great wide receiving core? Get pressure with the front four without blitzing and put a blanket out there on one of the better secondaries in the NFL. I like Jacksonville. I'm going to stick with Jacksonville. Do I think it's going to be a blowout runaway? No, that's not Jacksonville's MO. But if you're looking out there and saying, it's going to be a field goal type game, I'm Jacksonville or nothing in this game, Jimmy.
Yeah, I hear you, and great breakdown. Let's keep rolling. This is another spot where I'm very uncomfortable that I made the move. I did take the Saints minus 9.5 at minus 103. Just kind of talked myself into it. But I have Tampa Bay under 6.5 wins on the season at minus 130. I have the Saints over 9.5 wins at minus 130. I am taking the Saints and all these points. I think the Bucks are going to be terrible. I don't think Peyton Barber's the number one running back. I don't mind Fitzpatrick, but I think the Bucks are going to be bad. What do you think about my play with all these points? 9.5 is a lot of points.
Look, the one thing you're going to do in the past, if you've watched Drew Brees and you bet the New Orleans Saints, or if you bet against the New Orleans Saints, there's not much better action in football than Drew Brees at home in the Dome. Now, look, again, we get back to it because it's not about just winning the game. New Orleans is going to win this football game. If they don't, something is severely wrong down there. But looking at it, 10.5 is now showing up, I believe, at Chris right now. The prevailing line somewhere around that 10, 9.5 range. You're asking them to win by 14 points at home. That place is going to be electric down there. Do I think Fitzpatrick can keep him in this ball game? If I'm actually looking at the one thing I like about Fitzpatrick, if you take a look at the over-under across the board, 49.5, which again, you're looking at the Indianapolis Colts game, that's in that same realm. You know for a fact Drew Brees is going to throw the ball 35 to 40 times in this game. The one thing you have to like from a Tampa Bay perspective, they do have some weapons. You have a speedy wide receiver in Deshaun Jackson. Mike Evans, one of the best wide receivers in football. Both of these teams should go back and forth, but the one thing you know about Drew Brees, he's precise. About Fitzpatrick, he's not precise. He's boom or bust. He's interception or touchdown. I think that's going to play into it, as opposed to going with a side perspective here, Jimmy, where you're looking to cover 10 or more. Do I think New Orleans can get the cover? Sure, I do. But I'm not as down on Tampa Bay because I think they have some weapons on offense that can work. And again, if New Orleans presses the issue, gets up early 7-0, 10-0, 14-0, Drew Brees doesn't stop in the fourth quarter. He's a stat machine. They're not going to slow down their offense. So it's up to Fitzpatrick and Tampa Bay to keep up. I'm looking actually more, Jimmy, in the Dome to an over than maybe a side in this one.
That might have been a sharper way to handle things, and still got time to add that on. I hear you. Deshaun Jackson wasn't used last year. He's going to be used this year. I know the high spreads are tough early. I'm going to keep rolling as fast as I can through these games. I'm excited about Watson and a healthy Texans team. I think that they can do a lot of things. I know whatever they do, Brady will answer. That's what he does. I think Sonny Michel will light it up in New England's offense. Jeremy Hill will help. Cordero Patterson can do something. I'm on the over 50.5 at minus 108. Texans, Patriots. What do you think?
Texans, but yeah, look, you're going to get out of this. Has anybody shut Tom Brady down? Did you see the Philadelphia Eagles defense heading down the stretch last year? It was hard enough to get first downs against them, and he throws for like 550 yards in the Super Bowl. There's no stage that's going to put it. The only thing that you would have a damper on if there's high wind and rain, which I don't think is going to be the problem. And also, Jimmy, from the very brief look we had a Bill O'Brien offense out there with the way Deshaun Watson operates, he's fast, he's mobile, he's got a big arm, he's got weapons out there. It's hard taking unders when you have two teams that can score, especially with Tom Brady. You know you could pencil in Brady, even though that defense is really good for Houston, Jimmy. Is it any prospect that New England scores 28 to 31 points in this one? And you know Houston's going to be able to put up some on that New England defense. I like it, Jimmy.
Good. Okay, I'm heavy down on the Dolphins. I think they're going to be amongst the worst teams in the league. You think I'm being a little too harsh, and I hear that, and you're not the only one who said it. There's a bunch of people who think I'm being way too harsh. I did not like the Minkah Fitzpatrick draft. They have holes everywhere. Don't know why they did that. There's a downgrade at center. I don't believe in this Dolphins team. I do believe in this Titans team. I have the Titans over 7.5 wins. I have the Dolphins under 6.5 wins, and I have Tennessee -1 to win on Sunday. What do you think?
It's too easy. It looks too easy to me, Jimmy. What Tennessee Titan team we're going to get at? New regime down there. but they're expected to take the next step. This isn't a Titans team that's actually rebuilding, even though they fired their football coach. Had a nice season yesterday. Last year. Went on the road to Kansas City in the playoffs and beat Kansas City. So this is a team that should win this football game when you go down. But then again, the odds makers are some pretty smart people. Line opened up at 2.5, went down to a pick'em. Now looks like Tennessee money a little bit's coming back -1 here. I'm a little bit higher on the Dolphins this year season total wise because it's so low. The same thing with the Buccaneers. One of those buy low, sell high type scenarios here. But I can't fault you for week 1. Tennessee overall is the better football team here, but something's got to give. And why is Tennessee a pick'em or a -1 out there? It's a game I'm going to abstain from, but just me being like maybe a sharper contrarian, I would lean towards the Dolphins. But again, I haven't seen this team play enough here through the preseason to show up anywhere. And I do think the Tennessee Titans will have a good season. That's why this line is so puzzling to me.
So interesting. God, I just love week 1. I love having the opportunity to break these games down. Flipper13 thinks Minka was a great pick. Also doesn't think that thinks that Pouncey's damaged goods. I hear that. We're just going to skip this Charger spot because we did touch on it earlier. I'm very uncomfortable. I have Chargers over 9.5 wins. I have Chargers to win the division. Having Bosa hurt makes me very uncomfortable. Let's keep rolling. Broncos -3. I love this spot. We talked about this Seahawks team. 4 Pro Bowlers gone. Sherman Chancellor, Avril Bennett, KG Wright just had knee surgery. They're going to run on the field and say, where is everybody? This is a team of castaways. The Broncos were a good QB away from winning a lot of games last year. They just need a serviceable offense with this dangerous defense. I'm on Broncos -3 +101. What do you think? Oh, and I'm also on Seahawks under 8.5 wins. What do you think?
Yeah, you know what? Looking at the Denver game, I mean, look, sometimes you have to lean early in the season at some indicators that happened over the past couple of years. No matter what happens in Denver, it's still hard to play there. And if you want to take something from the IFBC, which Whale Capper is going to join us in just a few moments, how about the altitude in Denver? Look, these guys don't play much football over the summer. The starters come in here and there. There's no longer training camps that run 3-hour practices 2 times a day. It's a country club. They have to get their legs up under them. How many times were the Atlanta Falcons last night just sitting on the field, taking blows last night, and the offenses are not crisp? But also throw in the altitude now. So you're going to tell me it's going to be warm probably, and it's going to be high altitude, and you're not used to playing all 75 or 80 snaps in the game? The line looks about right here. I think Denver's the better team. They're going to rush Russell Wilson. If you watch Russell Wilson, he's an amazing playmaker. But if you have continuous pressure on him, like you're going to have from the front 4 of the Denver Broncos, that's going to be a problem. I'm going to be with you here, Jimmy. I like Denver. Do I think it's going to be a blowout? I'm not sure, because sometimes Seattle early in the season, Russell Wilson can make a lot of magic happen back there. But again, I'm going to lean on it's hard to win in Denver. I don't have to cover 7 points. And Russell Wilson's going to be under attack with his bad offensive line. Denver it is.
I love it. Let's keep rolling. Cowboys, Panthers. The only thing I can trust with these 2 teams is their defenses. I think both have good defenses. Both defenses are as healthy as they've been in a long time right now. I trust the defense. I'm going under 42.5. Cowboys, Panthers at -108. I don't have season win totals on. Actually, no, sorry. I do have the under Cowboys, I believe. Yes, I have Cowboys under 8.5 wins at -120. I've never been a fan of Dak. And I just think his O-line's worse. Safety blanket, tight end gone. Big body wide receiver gone. I'm under 42.5 points in this Cowboys, Panthers. What do you think?
Yeah, heavy public side there with the Carolina Panthers. And to be honest with you, Jimmy, I can't disagree at this point. It's a low price point. You're looking at the line opened up at 2.5. It's at -3, -105 at Chris. But the prevailing number, somewhere in that 2.5, you might get a little bit of double juice. I'm not a huge Cowboy fan. I actually think they're going to be a slightly better football team than last year because, again, you take away some of the distractions. But, again, Dak Prescott is going to have to step up. That offensive line is still a little bit banged up. I love Zeke as a running back. I think he's a phenomenal NFL running back. But you're going on the road in a tough environment versus a team that I think is better than the Cowboys. We're not asking for blowouts, which is the best part of the NFL. Look at how many lines, Jimmy, between 1.5 all the way up to 4.5. If you're asking me right now who's going to win this game, Carolina Panthers. They should win this game and should win it by a field goal. I'll take Carolina here.
Makes sense. Redskins, Cardinals. I'm heavy down on this Cardinals squad. New coach. I think the Honey Badger loss hurts. Bethea doesn't have it anymore. Yes, Patrick Peterson is incredible. Larry Fitzgerald can't hold it down forever. I like the Redskins. I'm a big Alex Smith fan. Think he's very smart. Jordan Reed never plays a full season. Dawson's been underwhelming. Deron Payne was a great draft pick. Kerrigan is a beast. So underrated. Could have a very good defense. I'm uncomfortable with this game. I have a lean towards the Redskins, but I'm not putting my money on it. What are you thinking here?
This is like the redheaded stepchild game. You know, Washington, Arizona, two teams with red in it. Is anybody even paying attention to this game at 425? It does have some intriguing matchups. How's Sammy Sleeves going to come up? How's the new quarterback situation going to turn up? A team coming east, going into a dome. And again, you still have opening day jitters out there. Arizona doesn't know if they're going to be a bad football team at this point like they were last year. And they fought back to 500 last year. There's still some good pieces left on this Arizona team. Johnson is back at running back. They're going to feed him. It's going to be a close one. And in any time I'm looking at a game where I don't have a definitive advantage on either side, give me the home team, Jimmy, just to win the football game. I'll go Arizona here.
You know, that thinking is exactly why I didn't make a bet on the Redskins, even though that was my lean. It was exactly that thinking that kept me off. Bears, Packers, how excited. We're all so excited about seeing this Bears defense. Now, everything's changed. The Windy City has a nasty, nasty, nasty defense again, and some nice pieces on offense. Do you want to go against Aaron Rodgers? Very dangerous. This is another game I'm off. I'm not on either team's win totals. I did not take the Vikings to win the division because the Packers and Rodgers scare me so much. You have a lean with this Bears-Packers spot?
Yeah, what are you going to get out of Khalil Mack here? I mean, look, if I wish this game, if you had the captain from a Chicago perspective, if they had Khalil Mack full strength, was in camp for 3 to 4 weeks and ready to go, because how do you stop a really good quarterback? Get after them. They're fast and athletic, the Chicago Bears, on defense. But how are we going to take it to the next level? Winning at Lambeau Field when Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback on the other side is tough to do. And we've all seen the Bears' struggles with the Packers. I mean, damn near since Brett Favre, almost 20 years has gone by there where it's complete dominance by the Green Bay Packers over the Chicago Bears. I don't think it stops opening night. I think the Packers are going to be able to do what they want on offense, even though, again, I like where the Chicago Bears are set up this season. I'm looking the Bears full season more than opening night. It's a tough number because you're looking at, what, 7.5? So you have to win a division game by double digits on opening night. But Aaron Rodgers is going to be back there. They're going to hang a number. Can Mitchell Trubisky go on the road and shoot it out with Aaron Rodgers? I don't think he's quite there yet, even though I'm not a huge believer in that Green Bay defense. But if you're saying right now, I could see a score right now. Give me 30-20 with the Green Bay Packers winning this football game.
Interesting, shrewd. I like it. I like the sounds of it. We're just going to quickly touch on these two games because we only have 2 games left, the Monday Nighters, and then we're going to bring Whale Capper in here. Also, I have a nightmare every time the Bears play the Packers. There was a Monday night a couple years ago, and I brought a girl down to Vegas. I was like, watch this. I'm going to pay for our whole trip with one bet. I took the over. I'd been thinking about it for so long. On the 3rd play of the game, Aaron Rodgers broke his shoulder, and I lost $1,000 and had a terrible weekend. Jets, Lions. I think the Lions are going to be worse this year. Not everybody agrees with me. I do. I just think they're going to be worse. Is Patricia going to be a good coach? I think there's a lot of questions. Marvin Jones can be electric, needs more consistency. Blount, okay addition, but doesn't pass block. Darius Slay's incredible. And I always think these Jets have value. I always think that they're underrated. Now, Darnold's going to be in quarterback. I'm actually staying off this game. Do you have any lean with Jets Lions?
Yeah, one of the tougher ones. I mean, look, you're looking at 6.5, which is about right there. But then again, you're saying this is the Detroit Lions. They're going to have to win this football game and win it by at least a touchdown. If you had a veteran quarterback in place, let's just say Teddy Bridgewater was starting, I might give a little bit of a lean to the New York Jets, but you never know how a rookie is going to react on the road. It's going to be loud. This isn't the Detroit teams that are 0-16 and by December nobody cares and having the million-man march in the middle of football games. This team is going to have a sold-out place in a dome, rocking and rolling. That's a tough environment for a rookie who's not going to be able to hear the snap count. He's going to be going on silent counts. So good luck if you're looking to change the play when the play clock's running down 3-2-1 and you're not used to it. There are going to be some disconnects there with the Jets. I can't take a rookie on the road in a dome atmosphere on a Monday Night Football to start the season. If I had to wager on this game, it's Detroit or nothing for me, Jimmy.
I hear that. I'm just not high on this team. Also, I'm very high on the Rams. I've got them, win the division, win over 9.5. Win this game -4. I've also got the Raiders to go under 8.5 wins. And we have got great comments coming in. I'd like to call a quick audible. I know that Whale Capper is only supposed to be on for 10 minutes, but I'd sure love to have him on for the rest of the show if that's cool with you, Donnie, because we haven't had enough of them. And I look forward to having Whale Capper. Lucrative Larry, is Whale Capper ready to rock? I can't wait to have him on here.
Is it lucrative?
Okay, some technical difficulties. I'll keep talking, no problem. We've been getting some great comments here. Flipper took the Bears at +7.5. Tomar says Bears are overvalued with the Mack signing. Smith got into camp late. Mack just got in. Green Bay offensive line strong. I'd lean Green Bay. And Whale Capper's in. Beautiful.
I'm so excited. I could barely contain myself. This is awesome. It's an honor and a privilege to join you guys. Thank you guys for having me on as a guest. But before we get into the handicapping, uh, it's I love what you guys are doing. It is so great having like intelligent like football conversation handicapping to break down. Donnie, I don't know how you just did all that in 30 minutes. Like you covered basically what 15 games and broke like simple handicap in 30 minutes. That was unbelievable. So, keep up the good work. I love tuning into this. And again, thanks for having me.
Oh, our pleasure. Awesome. Our pleasure. What a treat. I would love to hear. Now, you were great at IFBC. We heard that you're fading these Patriots for the first 4 weeks. What an exciting take. Hot take.
I think of the 3 spots that I particularly want to bet against them, this week is probably the one that's the least strong. They're great at home. The Foxborough crowd will get behind this team. They will, likely come out away with the victory. 6 points is just too much for me when you're talking about a mobile quarterback in Deshaun Watson. Traditionally, the Patriots defense and Bill Belichick, for whatever reason, his scheme does not handle mobile quarterbacks well. They give up yards, they give up points to guys like this. And so if their offense is a beat slow, which it could be, because have you looked at their wide receiver depth chart? You're counting on Chris Hogan to kind of carry the load for you at wide receiver 1. And if the Texans can come up with a pass defense plan to in any way limit Gronk, then the Patriots might have a tough road in terms of scoring points in this game. And then on the other side of the ball with Watson, being the type of weapon that is shown to do quite well against this team in the past, including last year, week 3 in New England, a game that I thought that the Texans absolutely should have won. It was kind of like a Bill O'Brien bungling 4 downs at the end of that game that could have socked it away. That kind of cost them that win. I think they have, they're a live dog here, and 6 points is an awful lot when you're talking about, a team like the Patriots who treats the first 4 weeks of the season like an extended preseason. I think they'll probably get a win in their home opener, but I think it's going to be a real tight game.
Donnie, he doesn't sound too high on my over.
No, yeah, there's a lot of interesting factors when you come in. The one thing you always have to like about Bill Belichick and Tom Brady type teams is, there's no throttle. They're not going to lay off it in the second half. And we talked about a little bit earlier, Jimmy, like Drew Brees as that stat monster. Just because he's up 14 points, he's still audibling out the play action passes and going deep left and right. Tom Brady should do that. But you know what I mean? When you look at the wide receiver core for the New England Patriots, it isn't that strong. And you're leaning on guys that are used to be, compartments out there as opposed to the main piece. So we'll see how it flows. But I think you're going to have a big game from Gronkowski. It's all a matter of how well that offensive line holds up for New England, because we know with a healthy J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney, if you can get after Tom Brady, look, this isn't 35-year-old Tom Brady, 30-year-old Tom Brady. He doesn't move that well anymore back there. If they can protect Tom Brady, he'll have some outlets open. And like I said before in the Super Bowl, Eagles came in red hot on defense and got absolutely shredded. If the time is right there up there, if the weather is right, I think they can put up some points there. But I do like his point on Deshaun Watson out there. They do have a problem defending mobile quarterbacks, and I don't think you're just going to shut down that Houston offense. So they're going to be a live offense throughout that game. Should be fun to watch. Great matchup week 1.
Very exciting. Whale Capper, I can't wait to hear you got a play or 2 or 3 that you like the most. I'm ready. Yeah. I'm ready to start writing it down.
We got a little bit of time, right? You guys get till the end of the hour?
We might have to end at 10 minutes due.
Okay, no worries. I want to challenge Donnie a little bit on the Drew Brees and Saints point you made. They're playing in division. They got to play these guys again. What, are you sure they're going to keep their foot on the throttle throughout this if this is well in hand? I know that it's possible that Tampa Bay is so bad that it doesn't really matter. But there's potential here that you could see. They may not want to. I guess here's a better way to phrase this. They have shown an interest in kind of keeping their players healthy throughout the year. They limited Drew Brees significantly in the passing game last year so that he was fresh in January. They don't have Ingram in this game, so they really only have one set of legs in Kamara. Originally I liked, this line is way too short. These teams are just so far apart on paper. There's no way it should be anywhere inside double digits. But then as I kind of thought about it, I said, you know what, I'm going to skip this one because, there's a chance of a backdoor is very real if, New Orleans bottles it up because they don't want to expose too much because they have to play these guys again.
No, I like the point on there because week 1, week 2, which, I like to sort of take more of like a backseat approach and go off of what I think is going to happen with a little bit of hindsight. The one thing I like about this football game, if you're going Drew Brees against Tampa Bay, look, they got Vinny Curry out there, they got JPP. They're going to be able to rush the passer, and they do have some good defensive tackles and a fast set of linebackers. I just think the one way, if I'm Sean Payton and I'm looking at Drew Brees, I'm saying, how do we attack this team? I don't know if I want to run between the tackles or, get involved with the defensive line. I think you're going to air it out and attack that secondary. And when Drew Brees is in the dome, it opens up a little bit more. Now, if you had Jameis Winston on the opposite side, I think it will be a little bit different because I like where New Orleans defense has taken a step up. They were record-settingly horrific for the past few years, but riding the ship last year and then heading into the season. But when you have Ryan Fitzpatrick, the reason me and Jimmy talked about it there is I think there's a huge boomer bust. There's a lot of, I'm a little quarterback, let me throw it up and it might get picked out in the flat, or I'm going to target Mike Evans 15 times regardless just to take some shots. I think the boomer bust factor is going to move this system along and try to get that number over the total, because if you're not getting touchdowns, Fitzpatrick to me usually is throwing interceptions.
Okay, those are fair points. I'll bring up another one. I heard you guys kind of go through the Panthers-Cowboys game. I took a position on this one on the Cowboys money line, and I want to kind of explain why and see if you have thoughts on this, or if you can kind of challenge this. Week 1 is the toughest week to handicap. This is not a secret. We don't really know what these teams are capable of for 60 minutes at full strength, and they're at various stages of new coordinators, new coaches, all that sort of stuff. The new coordinator in Carolina is a problem in my mind. I don't like his approach for the modern state of the NFL. I don't like his approach when he has an offensive line that is like bottom 5 or even bottom 2 in the league. And when I look at his matchup in this particular game against the Cowboys D line, that I think can absolutely generate pressure. They have some horses on this line. They have some depth on this line. They can rotate guys in on third down and get pressure. I just look at this matchup of Cowboys D line versus Panthers O line, expecting that Norv Turner is going to call 7-step dropbacks for Cam Newton, and I just see, I worry about him basically. And you got a nice kind of safety blanket in the Cowboys defense with Sean Lee back at full strength this year. He's, they're obviously a different unit when he's out there. He's the kind of guy that I think matches up well, neutralizing whatever Christian McCaffrey is going to be planned to bring to the table. And so I feel like really the unit that's going to make that's going to distinguish themselves in this game is going to be the Dallas defense, and just put the Panthers in a world of hurt here. And then you flip it on the other side, and granted, a ton of Week 1 also matters. Like, we don't really know who's going to be out there injury-wise, health-wise. Obviously, there's an offensive line injury with Dallas as well. They're going to miss their all-world center, Frederick. And, in my handicap of this, I kind of look at, okay, well, what does that mean? Is Frederick's out, they get a backup guy in there, they're going to have snap problems? Probably not. They've known Frederick wasn't going to play for a lot of the preseason. I would expect these guys, they got their second unit guy in there. They got him a good amount of reps. Now, okay, is he going to be able to, effectively contain a pocket for Dak? There's not really any weapons on the defensive line for the Panthers that truly scare me. There's no monsters. There's no Geno Atkins. There's no Fletcher Cox lining up against him. So, it's still not an obvious mismatch there. And then on top of all that, well, what if I'm wrong? Okay, so the pocket breaks down, Dak gets fleshed out. I would argue that he is kind of at his best when he's rolling out of the pocket, when he's throwing on the run. I've criticized Jason Garrett a ton in the past for not utilizing that approach specifically to get the most out of Dak. He kind of went away from that, as they kind of went with a real conservative approach in a lot of games last year. And I would expect that, it's not going to necessarily limit his performance. Granted, his receiving core is a huge question mark, but, with the weapons they have, I think that, he's going to be able to find completions outside of the pocket, and they'll be able to put up enough points to get the money line home for me.
No, all valid points. Go ahead, Jimmy.
No, I would love to hear your breakdown on this, but I agree. I do. I mean, I think the Frederick loss hurts bad, but there's no question about this Cowboys defense is going to get after Carolina. This is the healthiest this defense has been in a long, long time. You got DeMarcus Lawrence is a monster. Taco Charlton needs to step up. John Lee's healthy right now. How long will that last? Jalen Smith, healthy right now. These guys, Vander Esch, healthy. You know, Chidobe Awuzie is going to be a beast. I think those are shrewd points. And Tomor says Carolina's offensive line with Khalil out, Norwell gone. Cowboys' defensive line should eat. I think these are sharp points. And my only fear in this game, and the reason why I didn't take the Panthers, was this Cowboys defense. I truly believe in them, especially right now. Game one, a healthy squad. It's the offense I don't believe in whatsoever. And we spoke on that. And I'm curious to hear what your reply to is, Donnie.
Yeah, no, it's really on its simplest form because we really don't know what we're going to get out of the Dallas Cowboys. And I've been on record saying I think the Cowboys offense is going to be a little bit better from addition by subtraction. They're getting rid of Dez Bryant because now you can spread the football around. But week one going on the road, I don't really know what we're going to get out of it because you don't have that blanket at tight end. You're really unfamiliar because, again, we all preface this by saying these guys don't get a lot of playing time together in the preseason to mesh that new offense. Now you're going to send down the center. So the offensive line is not a strength. If I could go into the Dallas Cowboys right now and just game plan for myself and say no matter what happens, if you saw the Philadelphia Eagles last night, they were in no rush in the first half, sort of felt everything out. Let's not make a big turnover. Let's see where we're at the half and try to reposition ourselves. If the Dallas Cowboys and Jason Garrett would take that approach, I would love it. Give Zeke the ball 27 times and tell the defense to deal with it. It's going to be hot. Let's wear you down on defense. But I don't think Jason Garrett can do that. If I'm more reluctant to take the Dallas Cowboys or not want to take the Cowboys, it's because I don't really know at this point there, Will Capper, where the actual points from the Cowboys are coming from. It's more likely to me that, mid-20s Carolina can get there. But for Dallas to score over 3 touchdowns in this football game, it just kind of seems a little bit hard. And again, it's not a high line. I'm just going to lean on the home team in this environment just because I don't like Garrett as a head coach. And I think when things are going well, he's going to try to do a little bit too much out there. I could see the Carolina Panthers winning this one in a close game, but I can see your points because there are some points to be made out there. Carolina's offense isn't very good because the offensive line doesn't stack up. But when I think they need to make a play, the Carolina offense can make the play where I'm not sure the Dallas Cowboys offense can.
Well, Capper, what do you think? What do you think of my under 42.5 in this game?
I was just gonna say it kind of sounds like the sharpest point here. Maybe Jimmy's under.
Doesn't it? Yeah, it really does. Yep.
Get this cash.
Okay. Hey, good stuff, man. I guess the couple of the things I heard you guys touch on that I wanted to bring up. Let's talk the story that Jimmy had about the Bears Packers over ticket was rough. I've been there. I know that feeling. and
they scored. They had 2 quick scores too. 2 quick scores. Just to give me that tiny bit of hope.
I know which one. I know exactly which one you're talking about. Yeah. I'm on the under in this one here, looking for a little repeat history. Hopefully not an Aaron Rodgers broken collarbone. I want our guys to be as healthy and as entertaining as possible throughout the season. I don't want anyone getting hurt out there. But I like the under in this one just on the basis of you have so many new parts on both offenses here. Basically, each team has completely retooled their receiving core. I think that as you look at both the Packers and the Bears defenses, you're talking about underrated units in the eyes of the public. I think, Mac, with or without Mac, I think the Bears are talented across all 3 levels, and their coordinator does a spectacular job of game-specific game planning. And he's going to have a great plan out there to keep this new unit for the Packers somewhat limited. Packers still one-dimensional team. And if you can effectively contain Rodgers in any way, shape, or form, then you're going to be, a live dog in this one. I looked hard at taking the Bears and the points here. This is a divisional matchup. It feels like it should be tight. These are 2 teams that, they're on prime time, first Sunday night of the season. This spells out, a knockdown, drag out type of battle. And then on top of that, it's being played in Lambeau. And we've seen early in the season, field conditions matter a ton when you come to handicapping totals early in the season. In the same way that elevation and heat and all that stuff, all these are huge factors that impact totals and sides, of course. And field conditions matter as well. If you're in longer grass, if you're on a slower field, which Green Bay is, Chicago, of course, is used to that because Soldier Field's among the slowest fields out there. But if you're playing on a slower field, it neutralizes your ability to get out of your breaks in the receiving game. There's less space to throw to. It just tips the hand ever so slightly in the favor of the defense in terms of good coverage and keeping offenses limited. So when they hung this thing at 47 and a half, I couldn't believe my eyes. I definitely thought we were going to see a 44-43. So I snapped up the under on this, and hopefully looks a lot like what we saw last night.
Yeah, let's take a look at that line movement here. Still, yeah, opens at 48 here at Pinnacle, and then 47.5, 47. And Tomor was talking about how the Bears had no pieces for him other than Jordan Howard last year, and they put some nice pieces around him. But they are, Allen Robinson is an unknown, but Kevin White's been a bust. Trey Burton will help, but their defense though was already good, and now we add Khalil Mack, and Donnie, what are your expectations of Khalil Mack 5 days into his tenure as a Bear?
Not much. Because look, it's a great athlete as he is. You can't put him in protection or packages that are going to be scheme, because he doesn't know the scheme of the Chicago Bears. They're basically going to put him in. You can know, hey, look, Khalil Mack's lining up over the left side. What's he going to do? He's going to rush the passer. So there's going to be limited opportunities, and maybe they spend them and say, passing downs. Maybe we'll get him in on first down and maybe third down. But what are we looking at from Khalil Mack? 15 plays the most. He's not going to get 55 snaps to really try to disrupt the team. But look, he's going to be an added boost. But I know how the public looks at it right away. Oh, my goodness. Love the Chicago Bears. And they got Mack. They're going to get after Rodgers. If this game, again, like we talked about earlier, Jim, is like week 5 or 6, he's going to be a huge impact in stopping Aaron Rodgers. This quick of a turnaround here. I know he's going to come in shape, and he's going to be able to rush the passer, but you can't use him in all situations out there. So I don't know how much it's going to impact him night one.
No, I agree.
Can I make a motivational angle, or just see if this flies with you guys?
Sure.
Any chance that just investing in Mack gives the defense a shot in the arm? Like, holy shit, we're going to be freaking great this year. We are going to go out there on Sunday Night Football and, tell people, that we are a defense to be reckoned with. We're the monsters of Midway again. We're the I can't remember the nickname they came up with for Roquan Smith and Mack, but it was pretty funny. But, any chance that there's a motivational angle here with the defense just absolutely kicking ass on Sunday night with just knowing that, like, hey, we're for real this year?
Well,
it's actually interesting. It's an interesting angle in there. If you take a look at, the pass rushers coming in, right? Because you can build think of it like a snowball rolling downhill. Let's just say Khalil Mack comes out in the first series. It's 3rd and 6. He beats his guy right off the man and gets a sack right away. You can see that happening, and it might be a valid point there. But it's hard for me to night one, because Aaron Rodgers really doesn't give a damn half the time about who's playing across from the other line. I'm at home. I'm going to be able to take care of business. I'm going to draw these guys offside left and right. I don't know if it really factors in, but you could get a snowball effect. Have them have a really good first series, a 3-and-out with a sack. Hey, you never know.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a boost, a morale boost. There's no doubt about it. But, it's Aaron Rodgers. And he's capable of taking your morale boost and making it go away very quickly. And, I think Devontae Adams and Cobb are going to be good. I think Jimmy Graham's going to love being there. My question is around Muhammad Wilkerson. Will he be good? I think he can still play. I think Clay Matthews is slowing down. Tremont Williams, Kevin King, they have a really nice secondary to me. I think their defense will be fine and their offense will roll. This is just a good measuring stick for this defense. Whale Capper, we're running out of time. It's just a treat. It's wonderful to have you. I have so many things I would like to pitch your way, but is there any other game or two? Because we got to leave here in a couple minutes. Is there anything that you really like here that you want to share with our viewers?
Yeah, let's flip the angle we were just talking about and say field conditions matter in totals. And Monday night, they're playing in a dome, and you have two defenses that have huge liabilities. Granted, it is Darnold's first ever professional football start, and he's in a dome in prime time. And if he absolutely stinks out the joint, that you have to live with that possibility. But let's just assume we get an average performance out of him, or maybe even above average, because he's so excited and he's a legit guy. Who knows? But whatever the case is, the total that they opened for that was like 4 points, at least 4 points too low in my eyes. I love the vast array of passing weapons on the Detroit Lions this season. They have an offensive line that is really, really, really underrated. I think they're one of the top units in the league. And I think if you give Stafford plenty of time to pass, and you're passing against the Jets secondary that has huge question marks in my eyes, I think the Lions score, they score in the 30s probably. And then the Jets, if they can get into the 17-20 type of range, then that over ticket cashes in style. And that's maybe my favorite on Monday night, probably looking at that over.
Ooh, what do you think, Donnie? That might be shrewd. I've been very low on these Lions, but TJ Lang will help at guard. Interesting. What do you think about that call, Donnie?
Yeah, no, when you're looking at the Detroit Lions, I mean, look, 45 points is not a lot in today's NFL. You're looking at 10 years ago where everybody ran the football and they let some things go away and it wasn't, hurry up and make it most efficient. I agree, because it takes a lot to keep a game under 45 points in the NFL. I mean, look how bad last night's game was, where they end up with 30 points and it looked like nobody could even get a first down for the first, quarter and a half of that football game, and they still ended up with 30. 2 more touchdowns on the board, which you could have gotten one right on the last play of the game, which would have bumped that up into the mid-30s. I see the point in that, but the one thing I just worry about is when you're looking at Detroit from a Matt Patricia standpoint, you have the better quarterback in this situation. You want to heat up the pocket for Darnold. You don't want to have your offense, to me, make mistakes and just say, look, I don't think Darnold's going to be able to run away with this game and put up, 28 points against my defense. Let's slow play it here, not make those mistakes, take the lead out there and see what Darnold can do if he's down 7-3 or 10-3 in the first or second quarter out there. It's a tough number to stay at 45 because, again, as I prefaced it, 45 is not a lot in the NFL, but just a rookie quarterback on the road. I think there's going to be a limited playbook. And let's not forget also, just he's a rookie. He hasn't played a complete NFL game yet. Yes, he's playing a quarter here, a quarter there, maybe a first half. He's going to get a full 4 quarters of a souped-up defense on the road. And I don't know where the points are going to come from. Look, if Darnold puts up 28-plus points on the road in the away game on his first game, that's going to be pretty impressive for the rest of the season. I just think Detroit might dumb it down and say, let's see what Darnold has before we put our foot on the gas.
Oh, good points, man. What an absolute treat to be joined by the Whale Capper, and I just love this. I love this. I love having Donnie 2 days a week. Whale Capper, can we have more of you? Can you join? Can you come back next Friday? Can we have you next Friday too?
Hey, you guys are putting on a hell of a show. Anytime you guys want me to join and talk football, I'll be around. So
let's lock it in.
I'll at least be in the chat, listening to you guys.
Well, it goes fast, man. I mean, time flies, man. It goes really fast. It's fun.
What a treat. Yeah. Well, this has been The Audible. We are here Tuesdays and Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern. We just locked down Whale Capper for next Friday. The first weekend of NFL football is here. Thank you guys so much for joining us. The chat, I'm sorry we're going to work on getting you guys more involved because we know that we run with so many incredible cappers here in our chat. But what a treat it is to run with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of Donnie Rightside, the Whale Capper, and myself, thank you all so much. And don't forget about Beat the Prick, $50,000 on the line.